Alright, so in today's video we're going to talk about how you can take your already existing in-world AI characters that you've created and tying them into Unreal Engine and having a character that you can interact with, right? And so what we're going to be doing is basically following these instructions, but I'm just going to do it all directly here in the video and show you how it all works. So you can get it all set up. We're going to do this also with Unreal Engine 5.2, so it should work out pretty well for all of the newer stuff, and I'll show you some of the gotchas with that. So that's what we're going to do today, so stay tuned and let's do it. Okay, so the first thing you're going to obviously want to do is open Unreal Engine, right? And so in this case I've opened the Epic Games Launcher, gone to the Unreal Engine section, and then we want to go to the library, and here you'll see like all of your existing projects, any kind of plugins and other things that you've already installed or what have you, and then your engine versions. So we're going to be using engine version 5.2.0 for this, so we want to launch this. And this is kind of where we come to the part that we want to go to games. We're going to do a first person. We're going to make it a C++. Make sure you just click the starter content so you get some of the starter content. And then for this one, I'm going to put this there, and we're just going to call it Inworld Demo. Click create. This will take a few minutes. And once it creates the project, it should open it up in Unreal Engine for us, basically. So this part might take just a few minutes, so we'll pause here and we'll come right back after it shows up. Okay, so now we have our Unreal Engine project open. You can see it's the very basic first-person shooter. If we click play, right, we can walk around, we can pick up the gun, right, we can shoot it, right? So now what we have to do is set up the Inworld plugin itself, right? So we're going to close out of this. Oops. Close out of that. We can close this out, and then what we're going to do is go to our where we can set this up, and then we're going to create a new folder called plugins. And then what you're going to do is you're going to have to go out to the Inworld website where the docs are and everything. There's a link, I'll put it in the description, where you download the Unreal Engine plugin here. And once you download that, then you're going to have a file, right, with a folder. So if we go and grab that out of our downloads, oh, I already have it up. Here it is. So yeah. So then in here, I need to look for my Inworld. I have a lot of stuff. But basically, you're going to end up having a folder like this called Unreal Plugin Latest. This is the wrong one though, because that one's older. Here, no. Here's the right one, right? So as of right now, it should show 1.2.2 for the version. That's what we're going to be working off of. You don't need the Inworld Player Me. I don't think it actually even works with 5.2. It's not supported, so you're just going to want to grab these two files and drop them in here. And we can close out the plugin thing. We're done with that now. Alright, so now we have those open. Now when we go to double click this, it's going to say, hey, these are built with a different engine. Do you want to rebuild them? We click yes. This part might take a few minutes to do the rebuild and all of that. It might not look like anything's going on, but if you check your task manager, your CPU will probably end up being pretty high like mine, right? And then you're going to have these C++ compilers. When those are all done, then it'll open up. So we're going to pause here real quick and we'll be right back when that's finished compiling. Okay, so now we have Unreal open again. You can see down here it says, hey, there's new plugins available. So let's click Manage Plugins, type Inworld, and you can see they're both installed, right? So we now have the Inworld plugin. The only other thing that I want to do real quick at the beginning, there is a small bug that I have found with the C++ code, where when it reconnects, it doesn't actually reconnect correctly, and it'll create this limbo situation where it thinks it reconnected, but it didn't, and then it won't process messages. So what we could do to fix that is if we go to Tools, open Visual Studio Code, you'll get, a prompt like this. You may have an option to trust the authors. And then in here, if you go to search and you search for runnable run, I believe it is, or runnable command. Let me double check what that command is. I always forget it. It's like runnable something. Should have made a note of this. Runnable read. Sorry. So if you type that, there'll be this runnable command.cpp file. And right below this is done true, you just want to hit enter a couple times and do a return statement with a colon, or sorry, with a semicolon. And now if we close this out, we can validate it works. Click down here, there's this reload C++ code, right? And this should go out and build everything correctly. We just want to make sure this all works, right? And it did. So now we have the right code, we have the right plugin, we can get started with the next part. And so the next part is going to be setting up the MetaHuman and then installing that in here. So we're going to do that part next. So give me just a second. We'll switch over and we'll be right back with the MetaHuman setup. Okay, so now that we have all the other stuff set up, we need to set up our MetaHuman for the project, basically, right? So I'll put a link in the description to this as well, but you want to go to metahuman.unrealengine.com. You'll have to sign in, all that fun jazz. Once you do, then you're going to want to do, click this Launch MetaHuman Creator. It can take a few minutes sometimes to launch it, depending on how much stuff they have going on. This part can take a few minutes too. All right, so once you're in here, I'm not going to go through all the steps. There's tons of videos out there that talk about creating the MetaHuman and all that, but once you get your MetaHuman created, right, so we'll just use Oscar in this case. We have this Oscar set up. As you can see, it's a little laggy. but we have this guy, right? So we're going to work off of Oscar. So once you create your metahuman, you have it saved, then you can pretty much close out of this or minimize this. And then now what we have to do is we have to import that character into our Unreal Engine. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to come up here and go to Quixel Bridge. You're going to want to sign in if you haven't already signed in, and make sure you sign in with the same username that you used, or email or whatever that you used with the MetaHuman creator, so that way it shows up. It might take a few minutes after you create it, after logging in here, for it to show up, but it will eventually. If it doesn't, you can keep logging out and back in again, and it will eventually show it. But once you go to here and go to metahumans, you'll have like all of your metahumans, right, that you've created. So we can click on Oscar. I'm going to download the medium quality. You don't really need high quality, I think, unless you're going to do like 4K stuff, which we're not doing. So in this case, I'm just going to do the medium quality, click download. This will take a few minutes. It's going to go through and do this whole thing and download it. Once it's finished, then we'll have this button add that we're going to come back to in just a few minutes, and we'll click add, and that will add it to our project. So we'll be right back after this is done downloading. And through the magic of the internet, we are back, and now our character is downloaded fully. So we want to click the add button. It's going to add a bunch of stuff here. So we want to just click enable missing on each of these. Can close this and this out. It also wants to restart, so we can restart real fast. And this is the part where you really wish you had bought the bigger CPU than what you got, but it is what it is. Didn't know I was going to be doing some of this stuff. Alright, so now we have our level and everything. The last thing that we kind of need to do before we get too far along is we need to go in and set up the Inworld Studio widget. And so when you click that, you're going to be asked to paste a token in here, right? That token is basically going to be under integrations inside of, once you sign up for Inworld and everything, when you go to integrations, you're going to want to click here and generate this token. Take that token and paste it in here and then log in. So I'm going to do that real quick off screen, because we keep this stuff secret. I don't feel like having to try to blur it all out. So once you do that and click login, you're then going to be presented with something like this, right? So then you want to click your workspace if you have multiples. In this case, I'm going to pick just one of my random existing characters that I already have. So we'll do my new Diablo 4 character that I have called Griselda. So I'm going to pick her scene, and then you pick your API key. So I'm going to do that. And then after that, there's a button called Assign to Current Map. And so I'm going to click that. And you'll notice that that drops in this BP Inworld Session Controller thing here, right? And that has my scene name and all of the stuff in it. So that's kind of like the last piece that we actually need before we start connecting everything in. We don't really need this gun, so we can just get rid of that for now. A lot of this stuff we can minimize it so it doesn't take up so much space in the right here. Right. So now we have our session controller and all of that. And then there's also, if we go to the game mode, you'll see that there's our pawn class is BP first person character. So what we want to do, we go to the BP first person character, it's under first person blueprints. Right click on that, and we want to set it up as an in-world player. Right? And then that should be the only thing you have to do, and what that will end up doing is it actually adds this player component, audio capture component, excuse me, and targeting component, right? It adds all those to it. So then what we want to do is drop in our metahuman, right? So our metahuman's already right here. You can see Oscar, and then as soon as I click on this, it's going to like try to do the shaders and stuff, so it'll take just a second. So you can see now it's trying to load all the shaders. There's just a couple things we're going to do for this thing, and then we should be ready to test it. So as soon as it finishes loading the shaders, now you can see it's starting to load the character. We can right click here and do, as soon as it's done loading, in-world actions, setup as in-world metahuman. And that's going to put this character component on it, and we need to, right here under the brain name, what that is when you go to your character page, in this case we're going to do Griselda, you would click on more and then click this character ID for integrations. It copies it, and then you want to paste that right there where the brain name is. All right, that's what tells the character how to actually interact and what to say. The other thing too is when you're in LOD sync, change this -1 under LOD, forced LOD to 1, and that'll allow the hair to auto load unless unless you're like right up next to it. The way this works with the -1 is until you're close to it, it doesn't load those hair textures, so it looks kind of weird. Save that, and then now we can drop our character out here, and then what we're going to do is hit the E button and move them so they're kind of facing us. And you'll see that now, the character is there and ready to go, right? And so now, if we did this correctly, I think I've got everything we're supposed to have. Let me just double check all my notes. We have a scene, we have the player, we have the character. Yeah, so I think we're good. We're going to be good. So let's try this. The only other thing that you need to make sure of is you need to go to your audio settings in Windows and make sure that your output and your input are set accordingly, right? So in this case, I'm going to change so that we can hear it better. I'm going to change the output to my headphones, and the input's going to be my Yeti mic. And now if we go, hey, how are you? Oh yeah, that kind of sucks, huh? And so there you go. You can see now it talks to us. It's the character, my female character, so it has that voice and everything. But notice how the head was moving from side to side and tracking us. If yours isn't doing that, it's typically a telltale sign that your player class, your pawn, whatever you are, isn't set up as an in-world player, so it won't track you and follow you. So that's how easy it is to get going, right? So now you can basically work off of this and set up your own map and your own textures and move the character into that map and do whatever you want. But that's the basics, right? And then the cool thing about this is now you can take something like this and it now can become something like this. So this is Griselda. And if you're not following me on Twitch, you should come hang out and watch how I build her, and then you can actually talk to this character and some of my other characters live on Twitch while I'm either playing games or sometimes I just let them run the show. They're all fully automated. But this is a new character called Griselda, and Griselda is going to be my streaming buddy while I'm playing Diablo 4. So while I'm playing Diablo 4 on the Xbox, she'll be up in the right hand corner where my video would normally be, and Twitch chat will be able to interact with her, right, and ask her questions and talk to her. But she's got the backstory of like a disgruntled bar owner that used to be a hero in the Diablo like storyline, right? And now she owns a bar and she keeps having to rebuild it because it keeps getting, demolished or torn or whatever because of like all of the events that are happening, right? And so now if you look, let me light it up. Now we have something like this. This is my character. I still have to clean up the dress and stuff, so ignore the dress color and stuff. But this is my character. And now what I've done in this setup is I don't actually have a player. I have a pawn that's set up to be a Cine camera, and that Cine camera is focused in on the character. And so now what you get is a character like this that I could sit here and I could talk and do whatever. She's not listening to my voice with the way I've set it up. She's actually listening to chat. So if I go over to my Twitch chat and I go into chat and I do the command that I have for right now, I'm doing shit. I didn't mean to activate that. How do I turn that off? Whatever. So if I just do ask character hello there, now you can see, right? And so now I would share out just this part of the screen, right? And now I have a character. So that's kind of the gist of what you could do with all of this, right? When it's all done at the end of the day. But hopefully this helped. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me in the Inworld Discord. I'll also put my Discord in the bottom of this. I'll put my Twitch and all of that. But hopefully this helped, and feel free to come hang out and see me make some other characters live. And I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.